Hello everyone and welcome back to a new Mech video 2018. Here we are with the second of the evolution pack from PGI. We have the Hatamoto-Chi. It's called the evolution pack because it's talking about the fact that the actual base chassis for the mech is the Charger. But what the pack sadly didn't include was the very weapon setup that Hatamoto-Chi was based upon, which is the Star League era Thug.
The Thug!
I would have loved to have seen the Thug. The bro would have loved to have seen the Thug.
The Thug!
But we didn't get the Thug.
The Thug!
So, we still get a pretty good mech. This is one of House Kurita's original designs that popped up in the sort of 3030s era, early 3040s. Used a very minimal amount of lost tech, based on their freebies that they were given by Comstar, when Comstar were afraid that the Combine might fall to either the Federated Commonwealth if they got attacked by both at the same time. So Comstar on the sly gave the Kuritans some Star League era mechs with which to be able to enhance their forces and let them better survive. And the whole reason for that was Comstar had their grand plan of taking over the Inner Sphere themselves before the clans mucked all that up. And they didn't want too big a power base for them to fight. They still wanted everyone fragmented and battling each other, you see. That's why the FRR was created, as a quick side note. So, the Hatamoto-Chi essentially tries to create the weapon set of the Thug while using the Charger's base chassis as a means to fit those weapons. It comes with two PPCs and two SRM-6. It has case in both side torsos, and that's pretty much as Star League era as you get. Endo steel as well. It doesn't come with double heatsinks from the start. You should add double heatsinks to this thing. It's one of the mechs that look kind of cool, but I am actually slightly disappointed with the visuals of this thing. For a start, ever since I've seen it in the artwork, it looks like a pug. The chest looks like a sad dog face to me. It doesn't look like a skull. It looks like a little sad doggo, which is odd. The emphasis on changing it to a kind of attempt at a screaming skull thing I think was bad, because the original art looked fucking sick for this mech. It looked like a Japanese samurai, as if there'd be a Chinese samurai. That's a stupid thing to say. But it had like a kind of armoured skirt section around it, which is there in spirit but not really emphasised as much. The helmet's there, which is cool. But yeah, you lose the cool sort of armoured skirt section it's got. The chest is very different from the original. Big emphasis on those missile side torsos for some reason. And yeah, there's a few other slight changes. It's not a bad looking mech, it's just sadly not as cool as the original could have looked. And I don't see the reason for the severe changes to it. I really don't. I don't think it would have really mucked up the animations all that much, or even... It doesn't even have its Sabo feet. That's one of the other things. It lost its little sabos. The whole point in the mech is it's supposed to be this, you know, really strong Japanese styling to it, and it's got a kind of hint of it. It just feels a bit Kuritan and not full-on Kuritan. So visuals is fine, but it could have been better. B- if I was going to grade it. It suffers from LSAS, big time. They must have been prescient and had knowledge of the clans coming, because yeah, the PPC or the energy mountings on this thing are really low down, and that's going to cause trouble for you. So you're going to have to expose a lot of this mech to get decent fire. Missile hardpoints, on the other hand, are higher up, which is great, because if you are using something with MRMs, which I think this mech would work pretty well with, to be honest, you've got 4 missile hardpoints, at least in the standard 27T model, which is what you're seeing here. This one, just for clarification, I also painted it in the Genyosha colours, because Genyosha are pretty cool, and their simple colour scheme of grey with some highlights. But yeah, 4 missile hardpoints means you could probably do a pretty nasty MRM build, switching out the PPCs for probably something a bit more heat efficient, and maybe with a bit better range there that complements the MRMs. It's got every potential to be a great 80-tonner. Not taking away, the design is good. There's a lot of potential there for people who want a pretty well-armoured, you know, light assault mech that can keep up with the heavies and provide some decent fire support for them, which is essentially what the 80-ton range is meant to do. You know, more mobile assault class. Obviously, probably one of the biggest drawbacks of this is the lack of jump jets, but it is pretty well armoured out of the box. Now, depending on how you want to change that, I've actually reduced the armour on this thing slightly because I increased the engine rating. This is also unskilled as well compared to the Charger, which I did skill up because if I was going to run 5 small lasers, I may as well use the skills to eke every last bit I can out of it. But yeah, this is just base. and it's, for what it's worth, the heat dissipation with doubles is pretty decent. There's a few extra double heat sinks thrown in there alongside the other engine, and there's an extra half ton of SRM ammo because I was on 79.9, so I just reduced the armor in the legs by a few points to get it to half a ton. That's literally it. There's no other changes to weaponry or equipment there. So as base, I actually had a really tough time getting a good match to this. The Charger, first match, that was it. That's all I needed. I thought it was pretty good emphasis, but this one, I don't know, it was real tough. It was there were some pretty nasty fights, but this was my favourite one out of them that I managed to get recording of. It was a pretty slow grind, and I think it's a good example of how the Hatamoto can work in a support role, because I don't think this thing goes straight on. One of the problems it's got is its wide side torsos, and the missile sections on each side are perfect places to aim. Fighting other Hatamotos while I was recording this did make it a lot easier to just pinpoint shoot those two sides, and if it loses a side torso, it loses 50% of its weaponry. That's a big problem with it. So you're going to have to be aware of that, protect your arms as much as possible, and try and stay in the backfield, I'd say. Unless you try and make some kind of upfront death machine version, I would play this more in a support role, which is, I believe, what it was supposed to be doing on the Combine front. So yeah, it's like the Charger. It's one of those nostalgia pieces. If you really like the Hatamoto back in the day, this will probably do it for you. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything that really sells it that, you know, means you have to go out and buy it. Yeah, it's fun mech, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not overly sold of it. You know, I'm not in love with it, which is a shame because I love the original. Now we're on the outro, and I'm just gonna keep talking because I haven't quite finished my point yet. So yeah, I guess I've finished my point. I'm just rambling. So we're just getting to the end. I was watching the bar go along on the editing now. So the thug, yeah. Where's the thug? Give us the thug. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good week, and I'll see you then. Bye, 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 bye. Thug.